Good evening for everybody. My topic will be the experience what I have undertaken from 2012 until 2019, 7 missions to Bhutan, repainting World Heritage Center. So I'm talking UNESCO experience of Bhutan, concerning cultural landscape conservation and Bhutan cultural heritage beer, which is the very first beer compared to Japan or Australia or New Zealand. We heard now it's a small remote country, Bhutan, with 38,000 square kilometer, not many population, 800,000 population, is regarded one of the most remote but very lovely, interesting country. So I'm sharing with you UNESCO experience of Bhutan. Next slide, please. Since I have only 8 minutes, so I will talk point by point why this experience is interesting. And I want to share with ISCCL member concept of heritage in Bhutan, thematic and activity what we have undertaken these 8 years, and then according to the requirement of this symposium, policy governance and institutional sustainability, and then how UNESCO provide technical and financial assistance, and then to go for the law Bhutan very first Bhutan cultural heritage beer, nationally recognized 2016. And then as conclusion, I call for cultural, historical, natural, territory approach for people-centered cultural landscape conservation. And then for some more interested person, you may wish to have some further reading about UNESCO experiences. Next slide, please. So very quickly, as I mentioned, it's one of the lucky places which we have all typology of heritage in all form, which still regarded as intact, intangible, tangible, archive, or organic food, agricultural production. Next slide, please. And also the ritual practice, including the traditional living life. This I don't want to emphasize, but this is all part from Bhutan and from UNESCO, part of cultural landscape perspective. Next slide, please. So as UNESCO mandate, we are trying to work with state party for World Heritage Convention or member state of UNESCO for policy support, design framework and methodology, elaborate technical guidance, capacity building, monitoring, and call for international cooperation platform. Here you can see the diversity of the cultural landscape in Bhutan, mountain, even the sky, even the cloud, together with traditional settlement, rural village, and as I mentioned already, agricultural production system. Next slide, please. So I'm going to the second topic, is about thematic activities in Bhutan. There are 5 thematic activities which we try to work together with Bhutanese authorities and international, including ISCCL colleague. The very first one is what is authenticity in Bhutan, because for them, they are not too much focus on material authenticity, which is quite good in line with NARA declaration of a Pura Charter in Asia. So we try to work with them, the understanding authenticity. And second issue is about, although Bhutan has ratified World Heritage Convention 2001, as of today, 2021, 20 years after, they don't submit any World Heritage nomination dossier. There is no World Heritage site because they believe and we support in order to have a well-deserved management system of inscribed World Heritage site, they need more time. So we work together with them to put forward the very first tentative list in 2013 for cultural heritage tentative list site, 3 natural tentative site, and 1 cultural natural mix site. Next slide, please. In the same time, we are calling for education, institutional Bhutan heritage in our hand through elementary school up to junior, senior high school. In the same time, we work with the Royal University of Bhutan and French CNRS for cultural atlas, district by district. And together with some e-commerce member, using the ASHES inventory, Bhutan is now proposing their own inventory system. So this is quite interesting. All these 4 activity thematic approach provide us a very solid collaboration and understanding between UNESCO, international expert together with Bhutanese to go for cultural landscape conservation, to managing potential urbanization and globalization, even in remote country in Bhutan. Next slide, please.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so the law in line with policy, Bhutanese call for grow national happiness, as many of us understand. They go for social, economical development, environmental conservation, preservation, and promotion of cultural good governance. This national happiness looks fixed to the cultural landscape preservation approach. Next slide, please. In the same time, it's not easy because it's a specific system level. His Majesty's governance, governmental approach, parliament, and they have a very specific system or central body. How we call for this inter-ministry collaboration, this is what we look policy level. Next slide, please. So technical and financial assistance, we got 5 serial of cultural landscape preservation, understanding from interpretation to now we go for management issue of cultural landscape. Next slide, please. And I'm very thankful some of e-commerce member, particularly ISCCL member, Nancy, Katri, and e-commerce Japan, Yukio Nishimura, Toshi Kono, and my former director, Mechi Rosler, and some young international experts from many countries, some university from many countries, and together with Korean government, Japanese government, and French association, they provide some financial assistance. Next slide, please. So the last I will go.
Your time is up, please.
Okay, go this heritage beer. Next slide, please. Very interesting. They put Bhutan. Can we go? Oh, Bhutan as a whole is a unique cultural landscape. So as a whole, it's not easy. Next slide, please. And in the same time, the last conclusion, they call for the whole territory should go people-centered. Next slide, please. So now it goes into the 12-year plan into practice. Next slide, please. Bunakazong for knowledge sharing, and then also to the Tiger Nest, which we are working together. As a conclusion, next slide, please. So the conclusion is from policy to practice up to integrating this cultural landscape impact assessment in their very first bill, which is quite new. So they are catching up. Next slide, please. If you are interested for further reading, Department of Culture of Bhutan has produced some document. World Center has produced some document. Next slide, please. And the last part is for World Center website page, Department of Culture, Heritage Bureau, Royal University of Bhutan, together with 7 articles which we have put forward together. Sorry to take 2 more minutes.
Thank you
for your attention.
Thank you, Roland.
Yeah.